There's a bombshell report out about a data breach that happened just to add to the chaos that has been caused because of Trump's directives for how he operates ICE. And the latest story is this: whistleblower drops largest ever ICE leak to unmask agents. The last straw. A Department of Homeland Security whistleblower has released the identities of about 4,500 ICE and Border Patrol employees Tuesday in what has been called potentially the largest agency data breach for the department. The killing of 37-year-old mother Renee Nicole Good by ICE agent Jonathan Ross last week in Minneapolis has prompted the leak of personnel date to the ICE list, an online database created to promote accountability by the mass agents, according to reports from the database. So, you know what's one of the things that you'll hear from defenders of how ICE is currently acting, what you'll hear from the Trump administration and Tom Homan, is that the reason that agents are showing up masked and in unmarked vehicles, often not even identifying themselves, and then they just start screaming at people and it causes hectic situation that then is bound to escalate. And it is so much more their responsibility to be trained to prevent that, operate themselves in a way that keeps situations calm, understand how to de-escalate situations, as opposed to just being insanely trigger happy or trying to, what it seems in many cases, stoke drama, stoke pain, stoke fear. The justification is that they have to protect their identities, even though other law enforcement personnel don't do that, and police officers just show up with their badge and with their face out, and they will identify their name, give a badge number. But they say, well, there's just so many threats, and of course I don't want any threats against anyone, and that's the only way they can protect their identities. But actually what they're doing by operating that way, we also don't want data breaches, we don't want people being doxxed, but what they're doing is stoking more distrust as opposed to promoting trust. They're making people more afraid, and when people are afraid, bad things can happen. And they're causing people to engage in sort of vigilante justice or hacks, or because there's a consciousness, a common consciousness understanding that this is wrong. So then some people will take too far their response as to how to react to that. But there's an understanding from just good-hearted people that this is wrong. Just showing up, the identities are so unclear, people just might believe they're being kidnapped, and then harassing and treating people like they don't have any rights. And so while I want everyone, protesters, beautiful people like Renee Good, I want law enforcement, I want everyone to be safe and for these situations to be stable and people not to lose their lives, the most critical step in that direction is not, well, people need to stop saying they're mad with ICE, as we hear a lot of times from the Tom Homans of the world. It is ICE changing the way that they're choosing to operate. And of course, that never means vigilante violence against law enforcement is justified. And also we can understand the situation that we're in, and that it is the powers that be. It is the people with the guns. It's the institutional power forces that have to take a step toward change to de-escalate what's happening. If we're ever going to, I'm just telling you observationally what's true. And that more stuff like this, potential doxing, all this stuff that can further escalate the situation is going to continue as long as we see one story after another. And that's bad. And that's increasingly scary. And then the ICE agents are assuming that they're in more danger. Citizens protesting, people protesting, they assume they're in more danger for obvious reasons because of the videos that we've seen. And that's going to just stoke more violence and more damage. And the fact that the reaction from the Trump administration and from his spokespeople is just to further escalate and only reprimand that way. It's all because of the left, and not do any introspection, take any step toward change is very frightening. And let me show you this video of George Redez, who was a victim of the type of harassment that we're seeing and the disregarding of people's rights. This is an American citizen, a veteran. I've told you his story before, but this video that was put together was very impactful. I encourage you to watch the whole thing.
My name is George Redez. I was born and raised in Ventura, California. On July 10th, I was on my way to work, and when I arrived on the street that day, there was protesters. I encounter a line of ICE agents lined up across the road. I put my car in park, and I'm a good distance away. I get out, and I stand beside my car, and I yell to the officers, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm just trying to get to work. I'm not here to protest. They just immediately got hostile, telling me to pull over to the side, telling me to get back into my car. As I'm getting into my car, the agents surround my car, pulling on the door handles, banging on the windows, telling me to get out. Following that, they throw tear gas behind my car, where I'm just there coughing, eyes watery, can't breathe. They reapproach my car, telling me to do different things, contradicting each other. I'm just trying to plead with them that I'm leaving. I'm trying to leave. My driver's side window just shatters. An agent sticks his arm through and pepper sprays me in the face. They drag me out of the car. They throw me on the ground. An agent kneels on my neck and another agent kneels on my back. And while that's happening, I'm telling them I can't breathe. They zip tied my hands behind my back. They asked me for my ID once. I let them know it's in my car. Had they just looked at my ID, they would have seen that I'm a U.S. citizen, that I'm a veteran. I managed to make a call from my watch, and I call my wife and just let her know that I was detained by ICE. It was going to be okay. I didn't do anything wrong, and that was the last anyone heard from me. They eventually put me in an unmarked car, and they drive me to a Navy base in Port Hueneme. They take my fingerprints, they take my picture, and they swab my cheek. They put real handcuffs on my wrists and my ankles. They drove me to the downtown Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA. They strip search us. They take our picture, our fingerprints. I asked for a lawyer, asked when I would be able to make a phone call. They never gave me an answer. That entire first night, my skin burning, my hands burning, my face burning. It's the worst pain possible. Hardly even slept. I talked to a psychiatric nurse, and based off the questions I had answered, she felt like it was best to put me on suicide watch. This yellow concrete room, I'm in there in those conditions from Friday morning until Sunday afternoon. An officer comes up to the cell and says, I'm off suicide watch and that I will be released. And that was it. He just walks away. No explanation, no apology. I asked. I was locked up in here for no reason. I missed my daughter's birthday for no reason, and it was just the loudest silence you could think of. My military training helped me remain calm in such a chaotic situation. The moment right now doesn't define the flag and everything it stands for. It represents America, it represents all of us, and so I have no problem standing by it. It's important that we all stand up and share our voice and let it be known that what's happening right now isn't right.
Absolutely. And I want to play that full thing. I know it's longer than normally the clips are that we play, but it's so powerful and sums up what plenty of other videos to different degrees of extreme, different, levels of extreme. Obviously, the most extreme being getting murdered. But what is happening in kind of a new country that they're creating, this sort of this police state, you never know if you're going to get grabbed because you pulled up to the wrong place, you're headed to work, or you're in the grocery store, or you're protesting and you aren't having your rights respected. They're not even really letting you identify who you are, much less who they are. And then you can be held in a cell for some number of days. And then they go, oh, sorry. Oops. Sorry. That people going door to door just seeing, and then if you look suspicious, they grab you. Is that really the country that we want to live in? Is that really the type of freedom, American liberty, energy that we all are supposed to be patriotic about? And then it's just as one insult after another when you have spokespeople like this Trump spokesperson making statements like this.
And I think that there's quite a degree of Trump derangement syndrome here. There's ICE hysteria that we're seeing here. I think of the individual, she was killed last week by an illegal alien. I don't think that we would be seeing any protests. And of course, we've seen many victims of illegal alien crime in Minnesota.
So it's like, what even is the argument there? of course, people who already have an issue with how ICE, as I just explained to you in a bunch of different ways, is ignoring our rights and harassing people, how they're operating, are going to then want to protest more against the government. Who would you be protesting against in acts of individual horrific violence, regardless of somebody's identity, that you would want that person to be fully held accountable? Who are you protesting? But the reason people are protesting, yeah, there's protests now because it was an agent of the government. Because the very individuals who are supposed to protect us and protect our rights and improve our communities are, in this case, killing somebody. And you can tell they don't really know what their justification is because of how weak their articulation of it is. I don't think we need to watch these, but you can show Joe Rogan on his latest podcast. Even he was going, this wasn't right. The killing of Renee Good, it was not right. And the justifications don't make any sense. So even right of center people like Rogan are seeing that.